Alright guys, so I've been thinking a lot about what I want today's video to be about, and coming up on 1,000 dashes, I guess it only makes sense to sort of talk about what I've learned about being a dasher over these last nearly 1,000 dashes. And as I'm just kind of mentally going through some of the things I want to talk about, I can't help but realize most of them, unfortunately, are pretty negative. It's not that I don't have any good things to say, it's just there's a lot of things I've learned about people and this company that I'm an independent contractor for, and I have to say, sadly, a lot of them are negative. And so I don't want this to sound like just a great fest. So let me start off with the number one. It can be really good money. It can be good money if you, at least, so this is anecdotal, so this is my experience, but it can be really good money if you get to platinum, assuming your market is good. If you get to platinum and if you have low overhead, like if you switch to a motorcycle, e-bike, or scooter, and you take out the cost of gas, because that's the real killer. I calculated it. It was like 25% of my earnings, my gross earnings, were just spent on fuel. And that was even in a Volkswagen Tiguan, which is a relatively efficient car. So number one is it can be really profitable. You can make good money. I've just noticed there's a huge disparity between the different levels of dasher, be it gold, silver, or up to platinum. I should have said silver, gold, and platinum. It makes a big difference. I mean, just check my videos. I'm not cherry picking. There's a lot out there where I make 40, 50 bucks an hour. And that's not uncommon. And when you have a moped like this, I'm spending $2 to $4 a day on gas. So take out taxes, you're doing pretty good. And it's good because this is solely as a side hustle. I'm doing 10 to 12 hours a week, maybe 15 tops. So if you can run the numbers, it can be really beneficial. It can be very profitable, I guess, assuming what your definition of profitable is. So that's the first thing. Definitely, is it worthwhile in 2025? I would say yes. Thank you. You too. Thank you for the 1 cent tip. That will actually, believe it or not, be 10 cents by the time I retire. The second thing I've learned is that not everyone tips, and you can either become a perturbed driver who thinks less of people, or just accept that that's the reality and know that it comes with the game, in that if you have any interest in maintaining platinum status or whatever, because one of the threshold criteria is to maintain a certain acceptance rate, you will find yourself at some point most definitely taking orders that either lose money, be it your time and the opportunity cost, or fuel or whatever. But I mean, I can't tell you how many orders I've taken that just weren't worth my time, but I took them to maintain that status. And so I guess number two is, you're playing a game, and the game's not always fun. That's probably one of the harshest realities, is that you will find yourself sort of jerked around, and you can either, no one's forcing you to take these orders, so you can't really blame other people. It's your choice. but you recognize the system is sort of set up that way. For example, when I first made Platinum, I was like, oh man, this is really good money. Like, right on, this is so awesome. It all makes sense now. And then what I found was, after getting a number of really good conversions, where say I had an order that went from $8 to $30 or something, and I was like, oh, I see now. Like, it all makes sense, right? Like, and then once my acceptance rate got to a lower level, like the cutoff is 70%. So I think I was like 72%. I started to lose money orders, like a $2 trip from Kailua to Waimanalo, and it was just not worth my time. It was during dinner rush, so it took away, and I'm like, why am I getting these orders? And I was like, well, I gotta take it because I gotta maintain my Platinum status. And so I felt jerked around, and I actually got so perturbed over it that I stopped DoorDashing for a long time. I think I quit for like 2 months. I was just so over it. The third thing I'll say is that you will learn your city like the back of your hand. I grew up here in Kailua, and I thought I knew Kailua like the back of my hand, but only when I started DoorDashing and really getting sent to different houses and locations and businesses and stuff did I really get a good grip on everything from the people to the restaurants to the streets. I learned a lot of street names, which were things I never quite paid attention to. And you also get to visit some really cool properties. Like, Hawaii's got some really awesome homes, and I've walked through the gates of some really cool properties to drop off food, and you get to kind of see, like, there's one house behind a massive gated wall. I've always been like, I wonder what's back there. All right, this is number 3. This is McDonald's. $6 plus total will be higher. Fourth thing is, you'll realize that DoorDash keeps it addictive. So I have found, oh, is this Kailua? This is Enchant Lakes. DoorDash will do things to keep you wanting to dash. For example, this $6 order is probably going to be $8, and they could just say, if they wanted to, $8 order. But when they tell you $6 plus, because in the past I've had such crazy conversions where it like doubled or tripled, and because you never know, you want to take it just because it's like, you always take the mystery box, right? Like, never say no to the mystery box. I always take the mystery box. I mean, no one's literally ever offered me a mystery box, but if they did, I would 100% take it. And so definitely I've noticed that they'll do things via the app to keep you coming back. It could be anything from the notifications you get sent. So I have notifications turned on, and if there's a really busy time, they do what's called a boost. So you can there's different types of boosts. You can get, say, an extra 50 cents an order, extra $1 an order, extra $2 an order, and it will send you a notification like, your market is hot right now, or like, you know, the lunch rush is popping, and it'll send you like, dash now and make $2 extra order. And I'm always like, dang, I want to go, but I can't, because I'm just not free to go whenever I want, because, you know, I watch the kids. F5C. that was a good example of another lesson I want to share. If the app starts to bug out on you, don't be afraid to just exit, get out of it, and reset. A lot of times the app will get hung up, and by you just closing it and exiting the app and then opening again, it kind of fixes. Like you saw how it wasn't processing the photo. So stuff will happen like that, and it does it for different things. But definitely, that's my go-to when something happens. It's not gonna end your dash when you exit the app. When you exit the app and restart it, it's gonna put you right back to where you were, and it's actually gonna take you back to the beginning of whatever that task is. So you saw how it took me back to actually dropping the food off, even though I was already at the customer's location. That's a good one. I'm kind of glad that happened on camera. And that kind of leads me into the next one. So this one's really important. Definitely protect yourself at all costs. I remember when I was maybe 10 or 11, my uncle gave me a knife, and we're Puerto Rican. Actually, I'm only a quarter Rican. I'm a quarter Puerto Rican. But just like my older brothers, when I was that age, my uncle gave me a nice Kershaw knife, and he's like, every Puerto Rican needs a knife on him. And it's actually been kind of wisdom that I've held on to over the years. I generally have a blade or pocket knife on me somewhere. And it's not so much personal defense. I've never had to use it for personal defense, but it's a great tool to have, but it's also nice to have. You know, I haven't had many physical altercations. I've only had 2, one of which was kind of my fault, but I was at Taco Bell maybe like 2 months ago, and I had left and I had forgotten the drink, and I came back and the drink was there on the counter, and there was an old man like kind of like orbiting the counter, and I was like, excuse me, sir. And he wasn't responding, so I ended up just like reaching out and tapping his shoulder. And this, I don't know what I did. Oh, I tapped his shoulder, that's what I did, but I don't know why it set him off the way it did. But he turned around seething, and he was like, let's go outside. He just went from 0 to 100 real quick. And this old man wanted to fight me, and I was honestly kind of in shock, because I was like, what are you talking about? But I was also really pissed because he got super racist super fast. And I ended up just grabbing my drink, and I didn't do anything. But, you know, I don't want to fight anyone. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm not a fighter. I can fight. I taught myself to box a long time ago. But it's not in anyone's best interest to get in any sort of physical altercation. But protecting yourself is important. Also, protecting yourself doesn't mean like packing a knife or something, or pepper spray or anything like that. It also goes to protecting yourself on deliveries, and that means simple stuff like following directions to protect yourself from getting a bad rating. Maintaining your platinum status requires, I think it's 4.5 customer ratings or above, and so you should, the onus is on you. Part of the contract when you take an order to at least to like nothing crazy, but you know, basic stuff like don't knock on the door. If a customer says that, then just read it, take a second. You can even turn on the delivery notifications in your app. But go, you know, make it a point to try and do the best job you can and protect yourself from bad ratings, because the last thing you want to do is open your app and have it, you know, deactivated or something. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened to me yet, but it's a constant threat. And then, you know, people lie too. So I do film all of my time as a dasher, but it's not like DoorDash would ever look at the video. They don't really have a means to review your video evidence. So a customer can say, oh, my drink was in order, and you can have on video you delivering their drink in the order, but there's no way that support can view that evidence. They're not interested in viewing that evidence. They'll just take the customer's word over yours 9 times out of 10, and you get penalized. So I hate to say it, but there's some scammers out there, a lot less than you would think. Most people, I think, are genuinely kind and grateful and appreciative that they don't have to mosey out of their house to go pick up a coffee. But there's people out there that are definitely looking to like get their money back or game the system. Also, this one's super important, and this also goes with protecting yourself. You might not know this, but if you pick up an order, or say you go to pick up an order and the food's not ready, well, if you wait at that restaurant for more than 10 minutes, as long as you go into the app and there's a little line that says tell us what's going on, you can select that and say either food not started till I arrived or order still being prepared when I arrived. If you do that, that's protecting yourself, because if that customer leaves a bad review and it's been more than 10 minutes so I'm not entirely sure this is a requirement that you do that, but I do know I've been told to do that. But if you've been waiting at the restaurant for more than 10 minutes and the customer's upset it took so long, as long as you have that box checked, my understanding is that rating gets dropped. Also, I have had a few one-star ratings in recent times that I was able to get dropped as a dasher because I contacted them and they said, well, we see here you were 20 minutes early, so we're going to go ahead and just drop that. And so that's just stuff to think about, protecting yourself. You want to protect your ability to work with this company as a gig worker, and a lot of that starts with following directions, being mindful of your surroundings if you ride, of course, obvious protection. Let me know if I'm missing anything there, because I feel like that's a really big one. Also, guys, I'm a new channel. I hope you're enjoying this content. I've really enjoyed making it. If you like DoorDashing, motovlogging, Vespas, Hawaii, Kailua, anything like that, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Three, 4, 1. Thank you. Right on. Have a good day, man. Thank you. This is order number 5. We're headed back to McDonald's. We're five orders away from 1,000. Yes. Yeah, DoorDash pickup.
Sir, can you please wait for the DoorDash? Because we're still preparing.
How long?
We're still waiting for the rice.
How long do you think?
Hold it. 22 to 35 minutes.
Okay, thank you. That's okay, thank you. How's it going? My name is Jordan. I'm here at McDonald's picking up an order. The store manager just came out and said the rice for the meal is going to take 30 minutes. She said 25 to 30 minutes. So since I drove all the way out here, I'm hoping you can give me 0.5% of the order and then unassign me so it doesn't ding me.
So, let me go to the store for assistance. Well, thank you for patiently waiting. So, I was not able to get in touch with the store. So, may I ask what's the reason why there's a bit of a delay?
So it's a breakfast.
To the manager?
So it's a breakfast meal, and it has rice, and they have to cook the rice, and they say the rice, they were out of rice, so they said 25 to 30 minutes for the rice to be ready.
And I can see that this order came through the system of the store, not through DoorDash. So I'll need to work on this manually. And I did check. Yes, I can have you unassigned, but there's no guarantee that your ratings will not get affected. It shows it will be affected. So, how would you like to proceed?
Well, I've been here for more than 10 minutes, so it shouldn't affect I should have a worry-free unassigned. You're not going to half percent me? I just lost.
I didn't see that option on my end.
Okay, so Jim, thank you.
And it shows that it will affect your ratings. So, how would you like me to work on this, to proceed with this?
Don't worry about it. I just unassigned, and I'm on to the next order. But
I can offer to cancel instead of unassigned if you want me to.
I already took.
Already unassigned, or?
Yeah, so I just unassigned myself. You're not going to give me a half percent, the $2 for the 15 minutes I just spent wasted. Come on, Jim.
I did not instruct you to do anything. I was working on it on the
Thank you. All right, guys, so you saw what happened with the last order. The rice wasn't ready. Auntie said it'd be 25-30 minutes. I tried to get half percent from DoorDash. I failed miserably. It's not like it used to be. And you know, they'll come up with any excuse. They'll say, oh, the order is placed through the app, we can cancel, but then it's gonna affect your completion rate. It's like, really, dude, come on. So I just, at some point you need to know when to cut your losses. And I'm not going to argue. I've lost too many hours of my life arguing with support over crumbs. I think it's in everyone's best interest to just get back to work. So the lesson here is it all comes out in the wash. You will have orders like that just they're completely out of your control. There's nothing you can do, and you don't always get compensated for your time. Sometimes you do. Sometimes if you have issues, you can get a little bit of money, but generally speaking, it's best to just wait for the 10 minutes unassigned without affecting your completion rate and go on, and versus like another 10 minutes on phone with support. There's a TikToker who's really good with Uber Eats about getting like $10 every time food gets picked up or whatever. I just don't have that same either success, luck, or drive. Really, I just I've learned, or I've just accepted my fate, that it's a lot easier and in my best interest to just end the order, go on my merry way, and get on to the next one. So that's the lesson there. It all comes out in the wash. You have some really good orders that will make up for it. And it's a shame because the good orders shouldn't be making up for bad orders or no tips or whatever. But that really is sort of how it works out. It's how I maintain like a pretty consistent average, hourly average. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I will. You got it. See what I mean? The next order at least makes up for it. I would have got like $2 for the half compensation for that last delivery, and then you get a $10 tip. So it comes out in the wash. It's too bad though, because that $10 tip shouldn't be compensating for, I shouldn't see it as compensating for a failed order or a bad order before it. Here's a good one that should go without saying, but it's harder said than done. I think it helps me because I'm a stay-at-home dad of 3 kids and I have a really high threshold for annoyance. But you want to keep your cool because there's going to be a lot of situations that you come across that annoy you, that are very difficult, that are gonna want to make you explode. And the last thing you want to do is take it out on restaurant workers. You know, if you work at a McDonald's or Taco Bell, I'm sure you already know this, but also now having to do orders for DoorDash is just extra workload for everybody. And it's not like they're getting paid more than they were before DoorDash came around. So these guys go from being like maybe busy some of the time to just slammed all the time. And you know, you can be upset and take it out on them that your food's not ready. And I've seen it done too many times, unfortunately. But you know, people are people, and people will they rarely remember what you say, but they'll remember how you make them feel. And if you rub someone the wrong way, well, what do you think is going to happen the next time you go back to that restaurant, even if it's the same day, to wait on your food? They may or may not give it to you when it's ready. They may make you wait. Who knows? People are people, and people react emotionally to a lot of situations. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Keep your cool, treat people with respect, even if it sucks. Best thing to do if the food's not ready. Like, you saw that rice taking 25 minutes. Like, what if I just blew up on Auntie? What kind of guy would I be? It's not her fault. She's just the messenger, telling me that that's just the reality of the situation. Just accept it for what it is, unassigned. See if you can get your, you know, half pay or whatever. Good luck with that. Support doesn't really support you. And just go on about your merry way. Get back to work. Get back to hustling. Don't take it out on people. I go to that store all the time. You know, they know me. Like, not many people walk in a blue vest and a motorcycle helmet with a camera in their face. So just remember that it's you're gonna come across these situations that just frankly suck, and it's easy to, you know, blow up, and I see it happen. It just sucks. It's like nobody wins in that situation. So do your best to remember that. Keep your cool. Something else that I have found really helpful, and it's interesting how it has evolved over time, but I think having either a goal or a cap makes all the difference in the world. So when I first started, I made a goal, and I said I want to make $500 a week, and it actually worked for a while, but then, you know, life happens, and there's certain things that come up, and there's rainy days, and you know, kids get sick or, you know, whatnot. And there's times where I just didn't have the time to get out and do it. And then I started to feel bad, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't make my goal this week. And, you know, I've also never been a very goal-oriented person, but I do have an addictive personality. And so now what I do is I say, all right, instead of a goal of $500, I'm going to cap myself at $500. I'm not going to, once I hit $500 for that week, I'm going to end the dash, go home, and just spend time with the family. And that's been really good because I don't always hit $500. When I do, I feel good about it. But if I decide that, like, I want to take, you know, a beach day or whatever, it's just whatever. And also it helps that the money is not something that we're depending on. It's money that we're putting away. So it's not like I need to go out and work to eat or anything like that. So I find that having either some number that you're after, and some people do it per shift, some people do it per week, some people do it per month. Whatever works for you, whatever motivates you to get out there and hustle, if that's a motivating factor, think about doing that, because I found the cap especially has been great, because I still get that feeling of, man, I did it, you know, like happy feeling of completion, of success, but then I don't beat myself up over not obtaining the goal. So that's something to think about. You guys, I'm getting kind of tired. It's been kind of a slow day. It's been too much back and forth, too many just slow orders. I don't know if I want to stick around to make 1,000. This might be a to be continued episode. I kind of want to just go home, make a coffee, and kick my feet up. My mom and dad have the boys, so the house is quiet. I feel like I'm missing out on some, like, much needed alone time. Although you could classify this as alone time. You know what? Let's leave it there. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to save you from suffering through a super long video. I think we're either five or six orders away from 1,000. I just don't really have the energy to stick through it today. It's kind of hot and slow and just, it's a real grind. Sometimes I don't feel like grinding it out. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. If you're watching, make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Aloha.